Here's the thing, like, it's never too late to set the tone either. It's never too late to set the tones. You can either set the tone reactively or proactively. So
Mm.
ideally, of course, it's lovely when we can go in and be the space before the space and go in and do
Mhm.
this.
Mhm.
And, life happens.
Welcome, coaches, to the Coaching Magic Podcast, where we reveal, discover, and create the insights, tools, and aha moments that make your coaching seem, well, magical. I'm your host, Jill Young, and I invite you to listen up, giddy up, and buckle up as we play with this creative profession of coaching that helps humans become their best, including you. Hey coaches, I'm all dressed up for season 2. Today's the day. Today is the day. Fall is in the air, and I couldn't be more thrilled to introduce you to my friend Anese Cavanaugh for our very first episode of season 2. In this episode, Anese talks about iterating her own coaching tools, and she gives us this 4-step formula to do so. We also unpack the feeling of expansiveness and how that can be such a curious and useful tool for coaches. And finally, we talk a lot about setting the container where magical and transformational events can occur. And just like Anese is iterating her tools, we're iterating the podcast just a little bit because we learned a lot from season 1. So be ready for some surprises, some new games, some new insights for sure. And I will see you in the episode. Enjoy. I like to just hit record because sometimes those early conversations are the best conversations.
Well, yeah, and then we do all this stuff, and then we're like, well, let's do it again, and we can't
Yeah.
get
And you
the magic.
can't do it again. You can't do it again.
The magic comes in the moment.
Of course, it always comes in the moment. Anish, you've been flexible with me because you changed this time for me so I can go intentionally get on an airplane and be on time
Yeah,
and keep my energetic presence with me. But I
yeah.
think you told me that last week you were off editing a book, writing a book. What was that all about? What were you doing, Miss Anise?
Well, first of all, I'll always be flexible with you, Jill, because I love you.
I love you too.
And
Thank you.
I think that being able to have spaciousness getting to the airport, to get on an airplane, and to be intentional about your energy is not only of service to you, but to the rest of the world and the passengers on that plane. So I will always be flexible.
Thank you.
I I took last week to we our team does a reset in the middle of the year. So we take 2 days to just reset. So Thursday and Friday was our reset. So nobody's in the office. We shut down the whole company for 2 days, which is really fun. Just to
Mm-hmm.
just reboot, and
Mm-hmm.
and it lined up really beautifully with I'm working on the next book, and so I was reworking the book proposal to work with a potential new publisher, and we had the book that we had actually sold to another publisher last fall, but it didn't feel right to me, so I'd ended up saying no, thank you, and trusted that something that was more aligned was going to show up, and it did. And then the gift of that was that it also gave me the opportunity to go back in and rework the book proposal to be the book that I really want to write, which is going to be very different than the previous books we've done. So I had 6 days in a row to hunker into my dining room, which becomes the writing room. And it's so fun. And I take pictures throughout the process because at the beginning, it's just empty. There's nothing on it. And by the time the book is done, the room is this living entity with post-its and storyboards and everything all over everything. So that was my week last week.
Oh my goodness, so creative. And I love the word expansive. And I just, as you were sharing your process with us, it starts with this blank slate and I could just see it being built. I can just see it
Yeah,
being built.
it gets built. And then I did something different for this one, which I'm curious about because I never know what's going to happen when I write these books because I've done 4 now, 2 big ones, 2 little ones, and now this one's going to be the next big one. Every single book has had a different process, and every single book has had her own personality. And
Mm.
so this one for the proposal, I put her on the wall and I reworked that table of contents about 10 times, and I'm sure she'll get reworked again. But then when I was done and I hit send to the publishing house, I actually took her off the wall.
Hmm.
And now when it's time to write, I'm going to go in clean. So it's interesting that happened because this next book is about presence on an even bigger level. And so that thing of being so present to what's here right now, I think that's what she was like, okay, now take this down. And now when you come back in and you continue writing this, you're going to be just present with each thing. No
Oh,
premeditation.
oh, and I love that so much, you know, you and I love each other, and so much of
Oh,
our
we do.
work overlaps and correlates and
Yeah.
just supports each other's work. It's almost as if it's one work, which it is. It's all one work.
It's almost,
It's in Coaching Magic, we have this agendaless coaching magic agenda, and part of the agendaless coaching and magic agenda is to at some point you empty. You
mm,
just
mhm.
empty so you
Yeah.
can be fully present. And as you said, I took it off the wall so you can be
Yeah.
fully present
It's
with
fully,
the book about presence.
yeah.
I mean, I'm feeling like it's
Yeah.
inception right now.
Yeah. 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 Because it's funny because this book, I started working on this book a year ago.
Mm,
And as I have become more present with myself in different ways, the IEP methodology, which you've known for
mm,
years, your intentional energetic presence, that got created. And it's been being created since I was like 14 years old, but that
yeah.
got really anchored in over 10 years ago. And that work, I always thought that that was it. I was like, okay, that's it. That's the work. It's intentional energetic presence. That's the work. And what I've learned over the last couple of years is that IEP is just a part of presence. There's so many different components to presence. And so I started this a year ago and it kept changing. And every time I go back to it, she'd be different. And so it's just, it's no mystery or surprise that it's taken what it's taken to get to this point. And she's not even written yet. Like
No.
she's 30% written yet, and I reserve the right at any moment to completely change her if need be. So,
Yes.
but I do think the different relationship I have with presence now, which is even deeper than I thought it was, I do think that that is going to inform what happens for her.
On the Coaching Magic podcast, we like to break things down.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna point out for coaches that what Anese thought was like finished and complete
Mhm.
of her IEP methodology is getting an expansion. There's more
Yeah,
to it.
big time.
And I'm an EOS implementer, and I will say EOS has layers. It goes deeper. Coaching Magic. Every time I run a cohort, I'm learning. We expand the tools. We expand the methodology. Just this last just this last cohort that just graduated, I shared with them several times, I am also enrolled.
Yeah.
I may be the person that is sharing the tools or the teacher for this 10 minutes, but we are the teacher. We expand these tools.
Yeah.
Denise, could you maybe share some insight on maybe what it feels like to receive that expansion of a tool or a concept, or and maybe even share a few of them that you found like, oh, presence is getting expanded.
Yeah. What's it feel like to receive? I want to answer that really thoughtfully. What's
Yeah.
it feel like to receive the expansion?
Mhm.
So for me, I experience it at first as a missing.
Ooh.
Something's off. Something's not, there's more here. So like IEP method, the IEP method, Jill, it has 70 different frameworks, tools, modules, learning labs. I mean, I literally just had a meeting earlier this morning with my team, and the agreement that we made was, Anese Cavanaugh, you can create no more content for this particular thing. We have enough content to
Wait,
last
time
10
out.
lifetimes.
Time out. I think that was just a double dog dare.
Oh, 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 I have
Oh,
agreement.
look, and then she holds them up. Me too. I've got little sticky notes all over about new ideas. for tools, how it's gonna, yeah, how it's gonna, yeah.
They're everywhere. Yeah,
Hmm.
they said, "We have enough content that we could go on without you."
Lovely. I'm going on vacation.
Right? But what we decided, because content is just part of my life force, it's like
Yeah.
breathing.
Yeah.
I will create content from this conversation we're having right now, Jill. We will create
Yeah.
some new
Yeah.
framework from this
We
conversation,
do. That I hope we do. Let's do it.
right? So content's part of my life force. And so what we agreed upon was that for the programming that we have right now, it is so rich and there's so much of it that is going to live, and the team is going to continue to build that out and to continue to get people into it. But my content is going to go into, like these conversations we're having right now
Mm.
and writing the books. And so I'm not allowed to create content. It's just we're being very intentional
Yeah.
about it. Anyway, so what happens is I experience it as a feeling of um like there's a miss there, all of a sudden I realize there's a missing. There's something else here that I'm not seeing. And it almost can be a little bit it's like a tension point.
Mm. So
And then
something's missing. Then there's some tension.
there's like a
Yeah.
little tension point, and then I go, "Oh my gosh, there's more here." And then there's an excitement that happens.
An awareness that there's more.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
And then there's an excitement. And then what I do for me is I'm so visceral. I experience everything, and I feel like everything gets created in my body, that then it's just me being really present to it and starting to notice, okay, well, what's actually here, and I'll start to reverse engineer it. So like IEP, your intentional energetic presence, is one component of building your presence, but there's other components of building presence, which are around awareness, and this deep awareness, not just
Mm.
like, oh, I'm aware that I'm showing up right now and what I'm wearing for, to be on this interview or this conversation with Jill. Like it's not about that. There's awareness of, presence in the moment, presence to spirit,
Mm.
presence to that tension, presence to the actual what's actually happening in my life right now. Am I actually truly present to what's happening in my life? Am I actually present with you, Jill, as
Mm.
we're talking right now, or am I thinking about all the things that are going on? So there just became like this extra level of like, huh. And then as I got further into it, I realized there's actually 7 different types of presence. So there's 5 stages of building presence, and there's 7 types of presence, and IEP serves all of them, but it's not the be all and the end all. So
Mm.
that's what we'll be talking about in the next book.
Oh my goodness. When does this come out, Anise?
We'll see. It depends, right? If we get it's ironic, right? If we get the publishing house and they want to partner with me in it, then it comes out probably in 2026. If we don't get the publishing house, then I am not waiting anymore, and I will publish it myself, and it'll come out in 2025.
Awesome. Right.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
right.
yeah, only because it'll come out in 2025. It just won't be as beautifully edited, Jill, and it's not going to have all the
I know.
bells and whistles on it. But it'll be like, here's the work. Here's the
There it
work.
is.
You people
It's
want
a
the work.
I just love simplicity these days. And I
Mhm.
just love to just boil everything down to simplicity. And what really matters is that
Yeah.
people receive the work in a way that is digestible for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I had an epiphany a year ago, maybe a year ago. We had on our vision traction organizer that at the end of 3 years we would have 5 published books, and we've got 3. So Lindsay, my integrator, is like, "We better get working on that other book," and I'm like, "I don't want to do it.
Mhm.
My
Mhm.
energy doesn't feel aligned to do it.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of energy."
Yeah.
One
Bec
of the things was I felt like once I published the book, I was somehow no longer interested in the content. And
Mhm.
I wanted something that was more live, real-time moment. And
Uh,
so we came up with, well, why don't we do a podcast? Because
oh, I
I'm
love
excited
that.
about it right now. So
Yeah.
this is my new book, the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
Is my new version of a book. But I still love a good book, and I would like to read yours.
What I hear in that I love so much is the full permission you gave yourself to go where your energy was at, and to not do
Mm.
it and muscle through the book just because it was on your VTO.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is so easy to get soaked into because you go, oh, well, I said I'm going to do this thing. So, and my team knows I'm going to do this thing. And I've told clients we're going to do this thing. So we better do this thing.
Mm,
But instead you're going where your energy's at. I mean, I'm looking at something similar in myself where I'm noticing how quick and easy it is for me to write quick things, quick
mm,
little
mhm.
books. Like a big book, Contagious Culture, Contagious You. Those were big books. Like
Big books. Excellent books, by the way.
thank you.
Excellent books.
Thank you. This next one's gonna be a big book. But like The Leader You Will Be, that little poem,
Oh,
the
I
IP
love
Survival Guide, the IP Survival Guide for Divorce. Did you get that one? It was on a PDF. It was a secret book. It was a secret book.
No.
So I wrote so years a mutual friend of ours, actually, I was sitting by the pool one day and I had gone through completing my marriage a couple years before. And, divorce is not a picnic, as anybody who's gone through that. I mean, that's like the nicest way to say it. Like it's a very painful process, especially if you have kids. But we had figured out when we had gone through, I didn't even call it a divorce, I called it completing our marriage. And
Love
we
that.
had figured out like how to do it in a way that, both of us came out whole and still caring and with our dignity, and then our kids were okay. And, we had a lot of people notice, like, how we navigated that process. So anyway, long story short, a mutual friend of ours had reached out and said, "Hey, I know a lot of people who are starting to go through divorces. I'm curious, when are you gonna write the survival guide for divorce?" And I was about to go into writing Contagious You, and I said, "Oh, I don't have time to do that," and I was like a whole thing, and I said, "Well, like, let me think about it." So I was at the pool with my kids, and I had my little laptop. And I just thought, well, what would I want people to know about divorce? What would I want them to know? Like how did we do it? Because the mediator had said that it was the most collaborative, intentional divorce she'd ever mediated. And my husband at the time, my ex-husband now, didn't even know what IEP was. So I used IEP to get through the divorce. And I would be in my car using my IEP sheet, doing my 5 steps to intentional impact and rebooting my energy before I'd go into mediation sessions so I could show up as clean as possible. Well, he didn't even need to know what IEP was to be able to benefit from that. And we ended up having this really, I mean, it wasn't like this lovely divorce, but it was better than it
Yeah.
could have been. So,
It is.
than it could have been. So anyway, so this girlfriend said, just think about it. So while I was at the pool, I wrote 13,000 words sitting at the pool, and I just went, here's the stuff that I would want you to know. And I just wrote it like, it's got swearing in it, typos in it. It's a little,
Perfect.
this is what's going to happen. All your people on your street, your neighbors are going to think you want their husbands, blah, 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 blah. Like it just, and then I sent the PDF to her and I said, here, if this is helpful, feel free to share it. I'm not going to do anything else with it. Well, apparently it was really helpful. So it's like this quiet little book that is circulating on PDF to whoever needs it. We don't sell it. We're probably going to actually do something with it just to start to give it. Cause I'm realizing, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been sitting on that for 7 years, not sharing it
Sure.
more broadly, but it just didn't feel like it needed that. Like the energy was
Mm.
just share it with the people that you love. So, and then she shared it with a guy and the guy was like, well, that's not fair. This is for women. What about the men? So then I went in and I edited it to include men. So anyway, my point is, I don't know what my point is. Oh, those little tiny books are very easy and they have to come from the heart. And as long as they come from the
Mhm.
heart, they're fine. And if anybody wants to get butthurt because there's typos or because I'm redundant or I do long run-on sentences, then that is fine. Then they can wait till 2026 for the proper editing to happen. If you want
I would like the real and raw version, please.
that's what I like too.
The
It's
more the
what I love.
I can feel you coming through the book. And now a short detour for a spark of curiosity. Have you ever thought to yourself, I just need to give it a minute.com? I know I have. And today's spark of curiosity is brought to us by the Element Create Space. I am currently geeking out on a book called literally A Minute to Think by Juliet Funt. Coaches, we create space for our clients masterfully, but are we creating space for ourselves? In this book, A Minute to Think, Juliet unpacks some different ways to think about space. One of my favorite phrases I'm taking from the book these days is take a strategic pause. If you want to geek out on this and all other things coaching, please visit us at coachingmagic.com. This is a community. Coaching Magic is a community for passionate, dedicated female coaches to unfold into their own magic and to geek out with other coaches who are doing the same. And now back to our regularly scheduled program. And secretly, I've always just wanted to say that. Denise, I've always loved how intentional, it's right there in your program, intentional energetic presence. But I've always loved how intentional you've been with your words. And I
Mm,
just noticed that kind of as a byline, you said, I don't call it a divorce, I called it completing my marriage. um, there's so many of those phrases that when I'm around you, I have picked up those phrases and have used and taught them.
mm.
One of my favorites, and so I'm wondering if we can riff on these, because the more coaches use these phrases, words matter. Well, this is called coaching magic, and so we really play with the word magic. So we'll say words or spells,
Yeah, big
and
time.
and they are. They 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 put themselves into our subconscious. We believe what we speak. We create as we speak. All these beautiful things. So I'm wondering if you could riff on. Well, first I'm going to share one of my favorites.
Okay.
Then if you could riff on why that's so important for
Yeah.
coaches
Yes.
like us, and then maybe share a few of them.
I would
Maybe
love.
there's some more gold. Um, Here's my favorite that is just so popular. When people will say, "Oh, Jill, you're probably really busy." I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm not busy. I am richly scheduled."
That's right, Phil. That's right. You are richly scheduled. That's a game
And it's
changer.
so lovely because it's richly scheduled. It's the things I love to do. And because, I've learned a lot from you, I've put space in my calendar, and
Mm,
that 15 minutes in between appointments, that also is richly scheduled because I rest.
yeah.
I take a drink of water. I move or shake my body. I breathe, and it's that too is part of my richly scheduled calendar. No, I'm not going to shove you in between these two things because I'm richly scheduled with rest as well. So thank you for that you taught me years ago.
Mm.
Just wondering if there's others like that
Oh my
or
gosh. Yes. Yes.
words.
Yes. Well, what I'm struck by is how magically you're using richly scheduled. And I can feel it as you speak about it. I can feel the energy of that, Jill. And what I'm really struck by, and this is why, I'm getting ahead of myself and I'll come back to some other phrases, but this is why this is so important for us working with our clients or just in anything, is you being spacious about your language and intentional about it is of service to your clients because you're being not willing to get sucked into busy and cramming people in and that energy of busy is nobody loves to be around the energy of busy. Like
Mm-mm.
not generally speaking. I mean,
No.
some people will say to me, well, I love the energy of busy. And I'll say, well, if you love it and it's serving you and you're getting what you want out of it and it's having the impact you want on people around you, I'm leaving you alone. And I really invite you to kind of look at, is that true? Because when we really start to look at it, a lot of times I actually had a friend in town this weekend and he was just going on and on and on about how busy he is. And I said, do you know that I've known you for over 20 years and every single conversation we have, that is a core topic.
Hmm.
It's a core topic, the busyness of it. And what I noticed for me is in that conversation, I start to get contracted. I start to get tired. Listen to that, and he went, oh my gosh, that's true. Like that is a core part of it's a habit, right? It's a habit. So anyway, it's a whole other conversation. But the point is like us being intentional about our language and even more so being intentional about the energetic state we're creating for ourselves allows us to create more space to be present with the person in front of us so that we can actually hear what's happening. And it's the same 15 minutes. Those 15 minutes that you're creating that are richly scheduled, those 15 minutes, it's the same amount of time, can have the experience of being contracted and frenetic and like, or they can be expansive and actually even way more productive.
Anise, I think we just invented the tool.
Oh, what's the
Remember we said we were gonna invent I
yes,
think we just
yes.
invented the tool. Okay,
Okay,
how do you like this? Ready?
yeah.
It's the space before the space.
It's the space before the space. It's the space before it is. It's the space before the
It's
space.
it is. If I'm coming into, an hour-long podcast with you, the space before the space is how I come into it, and the energy overflows.
Yeah.
The energy overflows. So what are you
Well,
coming into? I had a woman say to me once, and she had read it in a book or read it heard it on a podcast, and it was so beautiful. She said, "When we get bumped, okay, like when we get bumped, like a cup of tea, you know,
mm,
when the cup of tea gets bumped, we spill over what
mm,
we are full of.
mm,
So if I'm full of rushing and frenetic energy, and then you ask me a question that I don't really know how to answer, if it's bumped my presence, then I'm going to spill over with this
uh,
frenetic. Isn't
yeah.
that isn't that beautiful?
So beautiful. That's so beautiful. It also
Spilled over.
I have never who said that? Who says
I
that?
don't know. It was a woman at one of my workshops. She came up and shared that with me, and I thought that is just so brilliant. But she said she had heard it somewhere. And then I've
Well,
been sharing it and people like it, and I probably messed up the quote somewhere, but, it's just, nothing goes exactly as planned, so your plan gets bumped, and if I
yeah.
get bumped, I spill over what I'm already full of. So if I'm
Oh my
full of
gosh.
love, then I spill out love.
Well, and you also just so it's so funny because when I think about you just completely change the experience of getting bumped too. Because when I think about when you said when we get bumped, I go, "Oh, I don't like getting bumped. I don't like getting bumped." Like that's got a negative connotation, like to get bumped and then,
Yeah.
right? However, if whatever is in my cup, if I get bumped, it's actually more beautiful space to be even more of whatever I am and then to pour
Mhm.
that to somebody else. So it
Mm.
changes the connotation of being bumped from something that feels stressful to me to all of a sudden going, oh, well, if I've actually done my energetic hygiene and I've done what I need to do to be the space before the space, which, oh, by the way, then allows me to be the space for other people, right? Because that's another thing to think of as coaches, anybody that's doing coaching, advising, any practice where you are holding space for other people, can you be the space for them? And if you haven't taken care of being the space before the space, you can't be the space.
It's really hard. The
Then
more you try, the worse it gets. What?
exactly. Yeah,
Oh.
exactly. The thing I want to say too is just I'm sure you already see this, but I only put this together recently, which was spells, with spells. Words are spells. Even think of it like spelling.
Yeah.
When you're spelling, you're setting spells.
Like, as in the spelling bee when I'm spelling the
Yes,
word? Yeah.
yes.
Isn't
Like
it fun?
yes,
It's
it's
so
so
much
much fun.
fun.
But I hadn't put that together.
The
Yeah,
wordplay on that is so much
wordplay.
fun.
Okay, do you want some other phrases?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so there's richly scheduled, and then sometimes people go, "Oh, I don't like richly scheduled." So other words that I like to use is on purpose
Hmm.
or well used. Like at the end of
Mm.
the day, somebody goes, "Oh my God, how are you?" I will say, "Well, I feel really well used." And to me, that's got a good thing. For some people, they don't like that, right? But I'll just say, "Oh, I feel really
Options.
well used. I felt really on purpose today." What the other reason why I like those richly scheduled, well used, and um, oh my gosh, what was the third one I just said? Holy
On purpose.
on purpose, thank you.
On purpose.
Other reason I like those 3 is because if you say those words, let's just say for people who listen to this, that you all decide that you're gonna start experimenting with those words, and you say it and you feel in your body that it's a lie, it's not true, it's incongruent for you. I don't want you to fake it till you make it on this. I want you to, like, look at that and go, "Okay, interesting." Because if I can't say I feel well used, on purpose, or richly scheduled, and instead I'm busy, there's a really good chance all that busy stuff is a lot of stuff you should not be doing.
Whoa.
Whoa. So think about that. So one of the exercises I'll do with teams, or we used to do this a lot with teams, when busy is a badge of honor. People talk about busy. I'm so busy. It's like this huge badge of honor. In fact, there's somewhere on my blog, there's an article about ten most popular reasons why people say they're busy. And most of it is unconscious habits, badge of honor, trying to look important, et cetera, et
Hmm.
cetera. But we'll have teams for a week say, or individuals, you can't use the words, I'm busy for 10 days. You have to use richly scheduled, on purpose, or, the other. Like, that's what you're going to do. And it's an incredible exercise because what they'll do is they'll start to realize that they're lying. If I go to say I'm on purpose right now doing this, Jill, and I'm just doing some busy work that's actually not on purpose, it starts to show me the places in my life where I'm overbooking myself with things that are not intentional and not aligned with what I should actually be up to.
Oh my goodness. That's a disenchantment spell.
Isn't that fun?
I was enchanted with my own busyness, but when I
Yes.
use these other words, it's disenchanting me and I can
Yeah.
see the enchantment I put on myself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really beautiful pattern interrupt because then you start to we've had people. I remember I had a team come back to me and go, "Oh my gosh, we have just cut out like 8 things we were doing because we realized it's a habit." And
Mm,
we really had to say, is this activity that we're doing that we keep saying we're so busy with, is this actually moving us towards what we say is
mhm.
most important to us? If we can't say that honestly, then they would remove it. So that's kind of fun. And then I think other words to start looking at is I'm just always looking at words through the lens of contraction or expansion.
Ooh, let's slow down right there because that is beautiful. If it because I'm looking for these phrases that Anise has, but also coaches, we know new phrases are going to come to you. So this formula, I'm sensing there's this
Like,
formula. So let
yeah.
oh keep going. I stopped
Okay.
you and now I'm going to say keep going. But
No,
oh,
good.
that was big. That was
I, lo-
big.
I love it when you stop me. I like to know where the little like, ooh, do that one is. That's good.
Whoa.
Okay, so contraction versus expansion. So for me, when I was going through my divorce to me had a very like contracted feel to it. It had a lot of charge around it. It wasn't the experience. I didn't want to have that experience. I didn't want the contracted experience. So I started to look for, well, what is it I actually really feel is happening here? And to me, it was we were completing the chapter of our relationship as a married couple. And we were now moving into another layer of our relationship, which was now going to be co-parents, to no longer be married, but to be really grateful for the fact that we'd been married. We'd been together for I think it was 18 years. So, divorce to me was like contracted and didn't feel good and it didn't feel good in my body. But when I started to look at, well, no, we're completing and we're moving into another domain, that to me helped me feel more expansive, and then I could actually be in relationship with him and with the whole process in a very different way. And then we also had little kids at the time, so it helped with the little kids to be thinking about what is going to be most in service of these kids. And the last thing I wanted was to be bringing in this divorced, contracted energy, which for some people, divorce, that word might be perfect for them. So I'm not judging anybody's words.
Yeah.
It's just that's how I find my words. Um but yeah, contracted versus expansive. So other words that I'll look at is like if I say, I'm gonna try or I hope this will happen, to me that's
Mm-hmm.
shut down. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll use more like, well, I intend that this will happen, or I trust, or even worry, even the word worry. Oh my gosh, Jill, I'm so worried. I'm so worried. I'll just say, I'm aware that there's something we need to be paying attention to. So I
Wow,
am just
worried versus aware.
yes.
Ah,
Yes. Like, "I'm so worried about you, Jill. I'm so worried about you." I mean, that's not useful. That's not useful
uh-uh.
versus, "Hey, I'm aware that something might be going on. Do you wanna talk about it?" So it's just that's how I'm constantly looking at the words. And then what'll happen is I don't even mean to make up these phrases. It's not like I sit in my office like, "Let me come up with some new phrases."
Will you please? Will you please sit in your office and come up
Okay.
with new phrases and just pump them out to the world? They're so lovely. They're delicious.
It's so
Delicious.
it's so funny you said because years ago we had a brand strategist who we hired to help. This is so many years ago. And this is when the brand was under Anese Cavanaugh. Actually, the brand was under our original company name, and then she came to me and she said, "I just have this really weird feeling if we unbranded you and just put your name as the brand that it would help." She goes, "I think that people just want to connect with you, so let's take this company name off of it and
Mhm.
let's just this is back in 2012." And so she went and she interviewed like 20 different clients, and they came up with a list of aniseisms
Yes.
because all these clients would share this language of these words that I make up that I wasn't even aware that were such a part of my vernacular, but they were just like these
Mm.
aniseisms. And one of them, I just remember, I don't remember all of them, but one of them was they would say they could tell when somebody had been anesthetized.
Anesthetized.
because because all of a sudden they would start to like use more expansive language. They would pause, they'd be more present in a room. I haven't thought of that in so long, but
I
anyway.
I want to claim that I have been anesthetized. I want to
I
claim
don't know I don't know if that's something I don't know, I'm not sure about that.
Oh, I love that. I love it. That's so great. Going back to the energy of the words here,
Yeah.
I wanted to give um just like thank you for revealing the magic behind these anestheticisms. I tried. I tried these anesthetisms
Anesthetisms.
because when we were talking about busy,
Mhm,
you you said something about how uh, just notice being aware, see, I'm not worried, but aware of
mhm.
how your energy is being received by
Yeah,
other people. And this is your clients and your family and your Uber driver and, all of these things.
yeah.
And when you said that, a memory came to mind of a boss of mine who would call me or I would call her and she'd say, I have 7 minutes, go. And that then you just revealed this formula of contraction or expansion, and that is my whole just saying the story or putting myself back in those situations. And then, of course, she'd be like, oh, hold on, I got to take this call. Oh, hold on, I got, oh, bleh, bleh. Just the epitome of busy.
Um,
It is a contraction in my
yeah,
spirit.
yeah.
And I'm also feeling right now like my spirit contracts. And here's how I communicated with her. Okay. Oh,
Right,
oh,
right.
oh, wait, da, da, da. And I'm like, that's not me. And I was not effective in my communication.
Yeah.
And therefore, like we had problems.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
would say, our problem is we just talk over each other. Or our problem is, Jill, you never listen to me. And I'm like, I don't know what to say. And I'm
Right,
so my energy feels discombobulated
right, right. When you
when we but contracted, just so
contract
contracted and confused and like thank you for bringing that up because now I'm able to put some awareness to what I was feeling there.
well, and the other thing is that so we're contagious, right? Our energy is contagious, and presence
Oh my
begets
gosh.
presence, right? Presence begets presence. So you matched her vibe. You matched. We do this all the time, by the way. Okay, I've been building this work my entire life. I still have to pay attention. Like we do this all the time. The person at the grocery store, the postman that just dropped off the thing and starts talking about like, oh my god, all the stuff in this one, and his energy is so stressed out. If I'm not conscious about holding my state and not getting sucked into that, I will start to match that. So all I hear, and with your old boss, right? She
Yeah.
would start that up, 7 minutes, go. There's another way she could have done that, which would have been, hey Jill, I have 7 minutes. Let's see what we can get done here. I'm going to give you my full attention. And she could, so I could still say to you, Jill, I have 7 minutes. I can do that with different intentions. One intention is I have 7 minutes, right? Which creates
Hmm.
that flare up in you. Or I
Hmm.
say, I have 7 minutes and you have my undivided attention. So then I'm going to not answer my phone. On your side, it would be interesting to play with because all of us have people like we do it to each other, but then people do it to us, right? So if somebody said to me, I have 7 minutes, go, I'd be so curious to be like, Okay, fantastic. I'm thrilled we have 7 minutes. Request 7 fully present minutes so I can
Wow,
give you the best I can give you right now, and whatever we don't get done, we'll talk about it later.
that
But
is
you get to set the tone.
gold.
Yeah.
Anise, that is gold. That is gold for us as humans and for me as a human. Thank you for that. Because
Oh,
sometimes I do have clients that like uh, they, we do shove something in and it's short, but I can set that if when I'm on the receiving end of a short conversation, I can still set that. Coaches, we say coaches, we have response ability. We are able to respond. What a beautiful, beautiful both sides of that, Anise, you just gifted us with.
well, I'm so glad. I mean,
Beautiful.
here's the thing, like, it's never too late to set the tone either. It's never too late to set the tone. So we get to set the tone. We can either set the tone reactively or proactively. So
Mm.
ideally, of course, it's lovely when we can go in and be the space before the space and go in and do
Mhm.
this.
Mhm.
And life happens and clients come on the call
Yeah.
and they're like, wow, right? And people are late and life happens. And so I think it's really important to just remember it's never too late to set the tone and to actually say, okay, wait, hold on a second. I know we're 3 minutes in, just caught my breath. We have 4 more minutes. Can we just kind of reset for a second and make sure I'd rather spend a minute in peace and get 3 good minutes out of this conversation than try and push through. So it's never too late to set it or to
No.
reset it ever.
Thank you for that. Um, it's when I hear people like you, Anise, who've done this work for what 20 years, but since you were 14,
See,
so only 10 years because you're a
well, it's just a
24.
few years. It's just 24
Just a
till
few years.
just a
Uh,
few get started.
when 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 we this is part of coaching magic is we're a community, and when we hear other very experienced coaches say we have permission, we have now we are aware that we have access to that tool to restart
Yeah,
a do-over. Sometimes I call them unlimited do-overs.
big
I've
time.
been known to call clients the day after the session and say, "Hey, I had a thought last night that
Yeah,
I think I missed in the
yeah,
session.
that's beautiful.
What do you want to hear it? Would it be useful to you?" And of course it is, but I don't put pressure on myself of having to catch everything or making sure I have this presence from the beginning. But just know we can do it at any time. Come back
Time.
to our magic. Come back to our presence.
Yeah, at any
Mm.
time. I think we have unlimited permission, and I also think we have like a duty. I also think it's a duty in a duty, but not in a way of like a duty. It's a obligated duty, but like
Mhm.
because you're modeling for clients. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've gone into a meeting and the client has come in and it's just chaotic.
Mhm.
I've said, okay, I'm going to just stop us and just pause and how are you doing right now?
Mhm.
Or just said, I'm noticing that nobody's present in this meeting right now. You
Mhm.
guys just came in, we're moving fast, we got a couple people coming in,
Mhm.
so we're just going to stop and reset. And 9 times out of 10, the client will thank you for modeling that behavior and for giving them the space. And so it's like, I think there's permission, but if there's a duty and the fact that you're calling the client the day later to say, "Hey, I had a thought," to me, that just shows how present you are in the moment. Because if you're sitting there and you're trying to think of all the brilliant things you're going to reflect back to your client, like, then you're not actually present. So you being able to call back and go, "Actually, I have a thought here. I didn't, I don't know. I think that's a real gift. I think that's a real gift.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
Um,
important. It's like and it's so huge. I mean, like I just went through this whole thing with I competed and uh
ooh,
4 different coaches. I had 4 different coaches. And so I got another exposure to different kinds of coaching and boy, Jill, did I get to have my thinking validated around the importance of the presence and the container the coaches get to set for each other and what an honor that is and what happens when you have it and what happens when you don't.
ooh, I love those experiences where I get to calibrate my understanding. So understanding, here, but also calibrate my feelings and go from one experience to the other and then go, oh, I feel like I've been tossed a little and
Yeah.
then go, oh, I find my center. Oh, I recalibrate my energy. Is that you're referring to with just like four different coaching styles, four
Yeah.
different maybe
Well,
spaces?
yeah, 4 different spaces, different styles, and what it did for me, and I know we had talked a while ago, and we were in the middle, we were doing the, like, IEP for practitioners,
Mhm.
because what it did for me was I actually started my career in the fitness industry as a kinesiologist, and then that was my first love, will always be my first love, and then went on to get into leadership culture, develop the IEP method, like, all this stuff, and then when I decided this last year to actually compete in fitness, it made me go ahead and get different coaches. And what ended up happening was I've always had coaches. I've probably had about 40 coaches over the last 15, 20 years, coaches, advisors, and whatnot. And so I've seen all these different styles. But because the process was so intense going through it this last year, it it reminded me of the sacred space
Mm.
that coach holds for client, because I was in a very vulnerable place. There's another way to say this. I was in a very vulnerable place as a client that I
Mm.
had never experienced before in that way. And so because I was so out of my comfort zone and so vulnerable, it made me more sensitive to noticing the nuance of coaching and the nuance of how sacred it is that we get to hold space for people that are coming to us, whether it's business, life, fitness, nutrition, whatever it might be. The privilege that we have as coaches, advisors, and practitioners to be able to hold the space for another person who's coming to you in a vulnerable space because they want something different than what they have. It's probably one of the greatest gifts I could have given myself, but also this work, because it just filled in so many little nuanced things around, why that languaging is so important, why presence is so important. You follow?
I'm wondering if you could give us, like, before, last year, before you did your competing and got these four new coaches,
Yeah.
and maybe it extends to your life of having 40 coaches, but what became even more true to you? Maybe now after that experience, what
Yeah.
revealed itself to
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
about this holding space?
Yeah.
Because sometimes when I'm talking about holding space, that's a hard thing to explain with words.
So
So I'm
true.
wondering if you can
So
give
true.
us some more things that became more true to you or you
Yeah.
noticed even at a deeper level.
Yeah. Okay. So, one is the importance of setting the container and the expectations of
Mhm.
what the client can expect from
Mm.
the coaching relationship ahead of time. I think this is really important. I would imagine anybody that's in any of your programs is probably really good at doing this. I'm going to make that assumption. However, I'll tell
Maybe
you what.
they're not, because
Yeah,
there's all kinds of coaches who are listening to this.
for
So,
sure. For sure. And I've been coaching since, in some way, shape, or form, for almost 30 years now. And so, I'm learning stuff for myself where I was like, oh, I can see where I really did this great. And I can actually see where I could have done this so much better in the past. So like we've
mm,
actually updated some of our processes for our coaches in our company because of this experience. Cause I was like, ooh, this is a nuanced thing. So for example, setting the container ahead of time in terms of what are the intentions of the client. Really?
mm,
What intentions does the coach hold for the client? What can the client expect? Like, can the client expect that you're going to be responding to them 24/7, or
mm,
you have rules around that? Now, this might sound really simple, but it's actually a
mm.
really big deal, because what I've noticed is a lot of clients, they're not sure what the parameters are. And so, what is it? Unclear expectations are resentments under construction. So if you
Oh, that's a
don't
good
have,
one.
right? So for me, I would have coaches that were really good about, like, hey, just so you know, you can text me anytime. I'll be back to you within 5 hours. And then I would have coaches that wouldn't say anything, and I might not hear from them for 4 days. So it wasn't right. So that container. So then it became my job as client to say, hey, I need to know what I can count on from you, because it helps me to understand how to work in this relationship. Most clients are not going to have that language or that awareness to do that. So as a coach, that's your responsibility to set that up front. So to me, that's what separates world-class coaches out from not, is how good are you being proactive with your clients around what they can expect from you? So that was one.
That's beautiful, and this is so enlightening for me because when I'm thinking about creating space, I don't know that I've ever thought to myself that making that agreement is like that's literally creating the space in which you're
Create
going
the
to
space.
communicate. But it's
Yeah.
never come into my mind of that. Now I do it, but it always felt like it was a different part of the coaching. But that's part of the coaching.
It's a huge
Oh,
coaching, and also
please.
you're teaching your clients how to interact with the people in their lives. So, for
Yes.
example, with us, if I've got I work with, I work with some people privately. I work with a couple of people
Mhm,
privately at a time. And so there's a very clear thing. It's I'll let them know, they've got access to me via a radio app that we do. So I'll say, you can leave me messages anytime you want. As soon as I hear it, I'm going to heart it to let you know I heard it. And if I don't get back to you right away, that doesn't mean I don't care. It means I'm doing something else, but I will be back to you by the end of the business day or whatever.
mhm,
And so it becomes, and then I'll say, and I'm not going to check stuff over the weekends. So
mhm,
it's just letting them know what they can count on you for. What kind of access do they have in between in terms of, are you going to give them feedback on stuff? If they're sending you a ton of stuff, this is actually probably more for the coach's sanity, right?
mhm,
They're saying a bunch of stuff. What is your policy around what you're reviewing and how much you're giving them stuff like that. So you just set it up, not taking anything for granted, and it gives them the safety. Frameworks create safety. Guardrails
mhm.
are
Yeah,
there for safety.
yeah.
It gives them the safety to know what they can count on you for and to feel safer to actually tell you the truth about
Mhm,
stuff. Another one that really stood out for me was the coach's ability to stay with the client in the hard stuff and to be able to hold
mhm,
space and be comfortable with the coach's discomfort when the client is not doing okay.
mhm,
And I think that that is something we do not talk about enough. I think there's a lot of coaches that they have the best intentions. They come to it. They want to be really positive and like, we're going to get this done. But the client hits a hard part. And as a coach, you want your clients to hit the hard parts. I don't want any of my clients to do great all the time. I get scared. If they're like, everything's great, I'm like, oh, okay, you're not working hard enough. I actually want to see them suffer and struggle a little bit because I want to work with them through that. So, but there are coaches that have a really hard time being with another person's pain or discomfort. And so the spiritual override of like, oh, it's going to be fine. Oh, you're doing great. And not being able to sit with them and that actually does the client a huge disservice. And then what will happen is your client will start lying to you about what's actually happening.
wow.
Big time. Your clients, if you do not create the space that is safe for them to tell you the truth about what's going on, and you can't sit with them in their discomfort, they will begin to lie to you. And then they will leave and they will tell you that they're leaving because it's financial or it's time or
Mhm,
whatever, but it's not. No client is going to say to their coach, "Oh, I'm leaving this relationship because I don't feel that you were present enough with me." And because it's very vulnerable. One, we don't want to the client doesn't want to teach the coach how to be present.
mm-mm,
And two, having somebody not be present with you is, very painful, if you think about that, because a lack of presence if Jill, if you're my coach and I'm working with you and you're not present with me, I'm now not being seen. What's getting triggered in me, my cortisol's getting triggered.
mhm.
It's primal. Does she care about me? Do I matter? There's no way in the world I'm gonna say to my coach, "Oh my gosh, do you care about me? Do I matter? Because 'Cause I've hired you to work with me." So they're not gonna say, "I'm not gonna work with you anymore because of your presence." They're gonna say, "I'm not gonna work with you anymore because I
Yeah.
need to take a break
I'm
or
done. Yeah.
money or, whatever."
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I I feel you. I feel you.
No.
So it's when we're thinking about these coaching container, I'm calling them upgrades, Anese's
Yeah,
upgrades that she experienced in the last year. It's the setting expectations.
yep,
Both ways. What are your intentions? Rules of engagement. We start on time, end on time. I'm just like, all of these things are falling in place for me. But then you also said being comfortable with going to the dark places, going to the places when your client is not doing well.
yeah,
And what I heard you say is if we don't, because clients will go to dark places,
yeah,
but if
for
we
sure.
don't have the presence to hold them in these dark places or hold space for them,
Yeah,
they will start lying to us. And
yeah,
I'm wondering
yeah,
if it because I'm thinking, "Oh, I've done this before."
Yeah.
with some of my coaches. Like, you're really revealing, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I've done that before." And I
Yeah.
remember just wrapping up an agreement because I'm like, "I'm good. I got
Yep.
it now." But
Yep.
it was like, it just wasn't right. I wasn't good. I didn't got it. I went and got a different coach.
Right. And here's the thing, Jill, like, so I can make a case. So then if I was talking to the clients, I'd say to the clients, well, clients
In your very serious voice.
very serious pedantic voice. Clients have a responsibility too. So I'll use myself. I know as a client, because I know some of the stuff, I have a responsibility to ask for what I want and what I need.
Mm,
However, I will tell you, there are situations where I don't wanna have to teach somebody how to do that, especially if I've hired them to coach me,
mm,
right? So, it's just worth starting to look at. So, you can train your client also up front. So, here's another one.
mm,
Train your client up front of how to ask for what they need. So, what that will look like is I literally have in my agreements that the client signs, I ultimately am gonna have unintended impact on you at some point. And I'm not gonna mean to do that. Something's gonna happen. I'm gonna miss something. You're gonna think that I wasn't present. Maybe I wasn't present. My request of you is to please come to me and let me know if there's anything, any cleanup on aisle 9 to do so we can make it right. So
hmm.
you're basically teaching your client how to advocate for themselves, and you're making it safe for them to do that.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a book that one of my coaches sent me, and it's, uh, I forget what it's called, but it's something like How to Be a Really Great Coaching Client.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
he said, "Read this book before our first session." And it's, one of his requirements, maybe he used a different word, a more expansive word, one of his invitations, or maybe it was a requirement. We met for 2 hours, and he said, "For an hour on each side of that, you block out time in your calendar to prepare for our session and to reflect on our session."
Yep.
And
It's great.
those times were almost more useful
Yeah. That's
than
right.
the time in the container, but he extended
That's
that
great.
container for me,
That's
and
great.
really, like, when we get right down to it, I'm coaching myself. I was in
Right.
his container that he held safely for me,
Right.
I was able to unfold.
Yeah, I love that so much. I mean, you're also talking about 100%, 100% accountability, right? Because ideally, in an ideal world, as a coach, you co-design it with your client up front, where you say, client, you are 100% responsible for getting what you need out of this relationship. I'm
Mm,
100% responsible for bringing what I've got to this relationship.
mm,
We're going to both lean in and give 100%. So this is what this looks like to me, client. You're going to book an hour in front, an hour back. You're going to come to me with anything that has misintended impact. Um, you're going, if anything starts to feel weird and you start to find yourself not telling me the truth, I want you to just say, hey, I'm, I'm not telling you the truth.
and what beautiful permission
Yeah.
for the client to go, for me to go, "Oh, wait, sometimes I'm gonna accidentally lie, and that might be a habit, or to protect myself. Wait a minute, I just lied to you." Or
There's a great,
I said a
there's a,
half truth. What I
yeah,
really meant is,
there's a great reason. We only with like there's a really there's a positive intention behind everything. If your client is lying to you, they're not bad. They're protecting, they're embarrassed, they
mm,
don't know. It's a like who knows? But I believe it's our job as coaches to do the very best we can possibly do to set the space and to be the space where the clients can bring themselves to that. And I think the more comfortable we are with our discomfort, the more present we are, and the better we are
mm,
at actually making sure, like what happens on the other end of the coaching too. So for example, you finish up with your coaching client, or the client gets, let's just say the client gets to their pitch that they made or the big goal, then how are you with the client on the other side of that?
mm,
And that was a big learning for me, because I finished, got
mm.
off stage, did all my stuff, and then on the other side there was this drop, because everyone went, okay, good, we got it. And
Oh, boy.
that was another piece where I went, oh my gosh, okay, how do we make sure that our clients are celebrating what happened, that if they're having a hard time, because sometimes when your clients finish up, they've had this big thing, there's going to be a dopamine drop afterwards,
Mm,
because now they've hit their goal.
mm.
How are you with staying them in that and making sure that they come out of that situation with their next goal in place and feeling still held by you as a coach? Does that
Oh,
make sense?
beautiful. And they've gone through that rest cycle and
Yeah.
reflection. There's some
Yeah.
rest and reflection cycle, but it's not like, and it's done and it's over.
Yeah.
Wow.
No.
I mean, holding them through the full cycle of
The cycle. Yeah, the
what
cycle.
their full cycle of
Full
what they're
cycle.
coming here to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anise, what a beautiful way to wrap up this conversation, talking about full cycle of what our clients want to achieve.
Aw.
I do have one more fun question for you, and then we'll be done for Coaching Magic Land for the day.
Cool.
Would you show and share what your tattoo is that I love?
Oh, this one?
Yes.
Yes. I will show and share it, although it needs
I
apparently
love it.
tattoos get smudgy over time, but it says it's
We
hard to
go
see.
bring it a little bit. Oh, there we
Dev
go.
it's devotion and magic.
Devotion and magic.
Devotion and magic. I had devotion, actually, when I was going through the completion of my marriage,
Mm,
I had somebody ask me what I was devoted to, and I felt very strongly that I'm devoted to devotion, which still holds true. It's just so true.
right.
It's very aligned in my body to say that I'm devoted to devotion, and then a couple years later, I realized, you can have devotion, but you also need to have magic, so I added "and magic."
And magic.
Yeah.
Well, I was the first time we met, maybe the second time we met, I got to see that tattoo, and I think maybe I said, "I think I'm gonna get a tattoo that says magic right here on my wrist." And you went, "Oh my gosh," and then you had one right there,
Oh
so and
gosh,
I knew
so
we were sisters from that moment on, for
serious.
sure,
No, Joel, it's been
for
so much
sure.
fun. It's been yeah, and it's so fun to watch what you're doing with the coaching magic and just the magic that you are, that you bring to every single thing that you do. So,
Thank you. It's a joy. It's a joy, and thank you. You give this profession a very good name, Anese Cavanaugh.
mm, thank you.
Honored to be in your circle. Honored to
Oh,
be in
honey.
your circle. And thank you for coming on the podcast today. I have pages of notes. This feels like a learning experience for me. I always get to absorb so much in the podcast. If there's something that one of our coaches listening would like to have more of Anese Cavanaugh, what are you most
Yeah.
excited about these days?
Okay, well, they go to our site, activechoices.com, so they can find all sorts of stuff there.
Activechoices.com. Got it.
All of my social media is just under my name. I'm mainly on Instagram and LinkedIn. Those are my 2 main things.
Awesome.
The thing I'm most excited about right now, besides the book, is that we've just opened up our IEP Method community and all programming, all tools, all resources, everything to individual memberships. So they can check that out. We previously, for the last couple of years, we've had it where it was only you had to be part of a team or in a company to get access. I'm done with that. I want anybody to have access to this work
Wow.
that wants it, so they can have that. And we just finished the program called IEP for practitioners, which is specifically designed for coaches,
Wow.
fitness trainers, EOS implementers,
Mm.
anybody who is responsible for holding space. We've got that programming up right now as well. So they can check
Oh
that
my
out.
goodness. I think we're going to be playing together a lot more,
I
Anise.
think it'd be so much fun. Yeah, and actually, just get on our list. At a minimum, get on our list. Go to activechoices.com and get on our list.
Perfect.
Do that,
Perfect.
whatever.
We
But
we never know what magic is going to come of just getting on the list. Just get on
well,
the list.
I've seen some of your magical things. They're quite magical. I mean,
Thank
I
you. We
yeah,
we
they're
like to
quite
have fun over here
I
in the
know.
land of coaching magic.
Just the names of them alone.
Thank you.
Just the names. I was like, "Oh, I'm a yes just to the name."
Yes. Awesome. Just say yes. Thank you for playing with me today in the land of coaching magic. If you want more magic, I invite you to explore www.jillyoung.com. This is where you can see all the shenanigans I've created for you to expand your world of coaching. See you there. And remember, you are magic.